across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected.
Western Spring Television, ours it is.
Here are the top stories of the news. Independent National Electoral Commission releases final list of presidential and National Assembly candidates. The Nigerian Railway Corporation dismisses reports of suspension of train services on the Itakpe-Warri axis following attack by gunmen. On the foreign scene, security forces regain control of Brazil's Congress after supporters of former far right leader Jair Bolsonaro stormed the complex. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. My name is Evelyn Ohiola. The Independent National Electoral Commission has released the final list of presidential and National Assembly candidates of the political parties contesting the February 25th elections. The publication of the final list of candidates for national elections was pursuant to Section 32, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act 2022 and Item 8 of the timetable and schedule of activities for the 2023 general election. The publication of the full names and addresses of all nominated candidates yesterday followed the conduct of primaries and completion of the nomination exercise by political parties. The Labour Party presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, has reiterated his commitment to phasing out fuel subsidy completely if elected during next month's election. He said removing fuel subsidy had been on his priority list and it would end the menace which he described as organized crime. Obi gave the assurance yesterday at the People's Town Hall 2023 organized by Channels Television, adding that he would cut off fuel subsidy beneficiaries and put to rest the issue permanently. Obi further promised to copy what was done in South Africa and Egypt to tackle the issue of power generation and distribution in the country.
We are a gas-rich country. We will encourage gas fuel vehicles and as well as, again, gas consumption in other areas where fuel is needed. Even people they say it's illegal refineries, we will bring them into legality by sitting down, because I said I'm going to talk with everybody. So if you're illegal, we will regularize their position, discuss with them, bring them into the purview of what is right. They become part of what is right. On issue of debt, I said before now several times, there's nothing wrong in borrowing. Every country of the world that I know and I've saw this is borrowing. But it is what you borrow for that makes the difference. When you borrow for production, it works. When you borrow for consumption, you have a crisis. The crisis we face today shows that we borrowed for consumption. And because of it, we did not see the growth in the value.
President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to arrive the ancient town of Yola, the capital city of Adamawa State, for the All Progressives Congress APC presidential campaign rally. On arrival, the president is expected to pay homage to the paramount ruler of the state and Lamido Adamawa Alhaji Bakindo Aliyu Mustafa, after which he would proceed to the venue of the meeting. The state APC chairman, Mr. Samaila Tadawus, expressed optimism that the coming of the president would further increase the electoral chances of the party, adding that President Buhari's presence will add value to the APC candidates. He noted that adequate security measures had been put in place following strategic deployment of security personnel within and outside the Mahmoud Ribadu Square, the venue of the event. In Osun State, the state chapter of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) has denied allegations levied against it by the opposition All Progressives Congress (APC) that it sponsored thugs to attack the campaign office of the immediate past Commissioner of Works and Transport in Osun, Remi Omowaye, in the early hours of yesterday in Ilesha area of Osun. Chieftain of the party, Ashim Abioye, refuted the accusations while speaking on Morning Spring, a Western Spring television current affairs program, insisting that the APC was merely brazen. Mr. Abioye held that his party was in no way involved in yesterday's alleged attack, neither those it sponsored thugs to carry out political attacks. On the other hand, spokesperson to former Governor Adegboyega Oyetola, Ismail Omikpidon, insisted that yesterday's attack lent credence to the APC's position that the PDP is a violent party. Mr. Omikpidon said although the PDP keeps deflecting, it is clear that all the attacks were engineered by the ruling party to hone those seen as stalwarts of the opposition party with no just cause. Meanwhile, State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke has condemned the attacks and called for calm, while asking security operatives to carry out a thorough investigation and bring the perpetrators to book. The Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Council (PCC) will not be able to use public places, especially school premises, for its rally in Rivers State. This follows the move by the Rivers State chapter of the People's Democratic Party to secure the government's approval to use public places, especially school premises, for its rallies. The spokesperson of the state PDP Campaign Council, Ogbona Unwoke, said the party paid 95 million naira to cover all campaigns for the party's candidates in line with the provisions of Order 21 issued by the Governor Nyesom Wike administration. It said the public places were secured for campaigns for the party's State House of Assembly, National Assembly, and governorship candidates. Wike said the money was paid to demonstrate the PDP's belief in and obedience to the laws of the state and advised other parties to tow a similar path. It was guarded that the fund only covered all public facilities the Wike-led PDP had booked to campaign for its state candidates, excluding the presidential standard bearer. To security matters, the Nigerian Railway Corporation has dismissed reports of the suspension of train services on the Itakpe-Warri axis following an attack by gunmen on the Eken train station in Ubu-Egbem local government area of Edo State. The managing director of NRC, Fidat Okiria, disclosed this to newsmen, stating that the train services have not been suspended, contrary to reports making the rounds. Among the victims are the manager of the station, Godwin Okwe, and the head of security of the station, simply identified as Iyehiare, and 29 passengers. Fidel Okiria further confirmed that security agencies were on the trail of the abductors believed to be armed herdsmen. The police force public relations officer Muyiwa Adejobi also affirmed that efforts were ongoing to rescue the abductees. The incident is coming 10 months after bandits attacked the Abuja-Kaduna train service, killing 14 passengers and abducting 65 others. A civil unrest around the Ojota axis of Lagos State has reportedly claimed the life of 2 persons early this morning as some Yoruba Nation members held a rally. According to reports, the Yoruba Nation group had planned to hold a mega rally at Ojota to press for self-determination. However, according to eyewitness, Two groups suspected to be Oduduwa People's Congress and Yoruba Nation agitators clashed early this morning, resulting in 2 casualties. As of the time of the report, vehicles were seen burnt as pedestrians and vehicle owners scampered for safety. Men of the Rapid Response Squad of the Lagos State Police Command have been mobilized to restore calm law and order to the area. The Benue State Governor Samuel Otam has commended security agencies for their hard work, dedication, resilience, and patriotism to guarantee security of lives and property. Governor Otam gave the commendation in a statement noting that his administration would embark on the 3rd training of additional 1,000 personnel of the Community Volunteer Guards this month to boost their operations. He further called on those who have registered with the Independent National Electoral Commission to ensure they collect their permanent voters' cards to enable them vote in the forthcoming elections. He stressed that Benue people would not vote for those who would continue to make the people live as eternally displaced persons in their own land. The Zamfara State Police Command says 2 suspected gun runners were neutralized after an extensive gun battle along Gumia Anka Road that lasted hours on Saturday. The command's police public relations officer, Mohammed Shehu, stated this in a statement, adding that the deceased were conveying sophisticated arms and ammunition from Taraba State to a terrorist camp in Zamfara. It disclosed that the items recovered included Toyota Corolla containing 3 live shells for rocket-propelled grenades, 3 explosive shells, 151 rounds of live ammunition for AK-47 rifles, and 200 rounds of live ammunition for anti-aircraft rifle. It revealed that the feat was recorded following an intelligence information received about the movement of the suspects inside a Toyota Corolla vehicle from Taraba State en route to terrorist camp in Zamfara State. Some hoodlums have burnt down the Umuchu police station along the Umuchu-Achina Road, Aguata local government area of Anambra State. Sources said the hoodlums stormed the place at about 3 a.m. yesterday and set the facility on fire. It was gathered that the station was recently renovated by members of the Umuchu Improvement Union as it was destroyed during the NSAS protest in 2020. The community leaders, according to the source, had renovated the station and its adjoining infrastructure and upgraded it to fit the status of a divisional police station before donating it to the Nigeria Police Force. There was no record of casualty as the security operatives had vacated the station to another location after it was destroyed during the NSAS protest and were yet to return. You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We will be back after this break.
Turn it up! It's the Wild Wild West, and Western Spring Television is pulling out all the stops to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around you. Yup, we've got you covered because your girl got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the chocolatey side of entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be showing on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
Tested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever expounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and past, detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
Welcome back. In Yobe State, Governor May Buni has declared Monday and Tuesday as public holidays to welcome President Muhammadu Buhari to the state. The state head of service, Alhaji Garba Bilal, made this known in a statement yesterday, noting that the president will be inaugurating the cargo airport, ultra-modern market, and maternal and child health care complex. Bilal said the holiday is to enable civil servants and the general public to receive the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who will be in the state on a one-day state visit to commission projects. He, however, said civil servants are expected to resume work on Wednesday. The Kwara State House of Assembly has confirmed the passing of the majority leader of the state, Olawoyin Magaji, who died this morning. The confirmation was contained in a statement by the Chairman House Committee on Information, Youth, Sports and Tourism, Awolola Olamide Ayokunle, in Ilorin today. He stated that Honorable Magaji Olawoyin, member representing Ilorin Central State constituency and leader of the House, passed away early this morning after a brief illness. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have thwarted attempts by elements of organized criminal groups to import consignments of illicit substances into the country. The agency revealed that operatives intercepted a shipment of 24.5 kilograms cannabis meant for the country from Montreal, Canada, at a Tinkham port in Lagos. It noted that the consignment was hidden in a used Toyota Sienna vehicle that arrived at the port along with 3 other cars in a container. It further disclosed that while the importer, Cedric Madweke, is still at large, one of his accomplices, Steve Isioma Adigwe, has been arrested. In business, the Central Bank of Nigeria's policy on restriction on daily cash withdrawal takes off across the country today. In the new arrangement, the maximum weekly limit for cash withdrawals across all channels by individuals and corporate organizations is now 500,000 naira and 5 million naira respectively. Individuals or organizations that have a compelling need to withdraw above the approved limits to transact legitimate businesses will have to pay a processing fee of 3% and 5% respectively. The Apex Bank also directed banks to load their automated teller machines with only new notes to ensure that the currency circulates across the nation ahead of the January 31st, 2023 deadline, when the old notes will no longer be legal tender. On the foreign scene, security forces have regained control of Congress in Brazil's capital after it was stormed by supporters of former far-right leader Jair Bolsonaro. Thousands of protesters entered the Congress building, with some breaking into the Senate chamber as well as the presidential palace and Supreme Court in Brasilia. Police fired tear gas to push back the crowd and arrested hundreds of people. Bolsonaro, who lost the presidential election to left-wing Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva in October, tweeted to condemn the invasion of public buildings. His supporters are refusing to accept they lost the election and have been calling for military intervention and Lula's resignation. United States President Joe Biden has described the violence as outrageous, while British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak denounced it as an attack on democracy. In the meantime, Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has vowed to punish supporters of the country's ex-leader Jair Bolsonaro after the stormed Congress. Supporters of the ousted far-right leader also stormed the Supreme Court and surrounded the presidential palace. But police regained control of the buildings in the capital, Brasilia, on Sunday evening after hours of clashes. Arriving in the city, Lula toured the Supreme Court building to see the damage for himself. Brazilia's civil police said that 300 people have been arrested. The city's governor, Ibanez Rocha, has been removed from his post for 90 days by the Supreme Court. Justice Alexandre de Moraes accused him of failing to prevent the riot and of being painfully silent in the face of the attack. But Mr. Rocha has apologized for yesterday's events. Pro-democracy rallies are being called by leftist leaders and groups across Brazil. In Africa, votes have been counted in Benin Republic after voting in yesterday's parliamentary elections, which recorded a low voter turnout. Opposition parties took part this time after having either boycotted or been excluded from other polls in recent years. The results are expected within the next week. Parties winning more than 10% of the vote will share out the 109 parliament seats according to a proportional system. The sports stories, Graham Potter defended the senior players but admitted Chelsea are not in a great moment after their 4-0 FA Cup thrashing at Manchester City. The Blues FA Cup third round humbling at Manchester City has increased pressure on the former Brighton boss as his troubled first few months at Stamford Bridge show no sign of improving. Potter could point to an injury crisis which kept 9 players sidelined and led to teenager Bashir Humphreys making a senior debut in defense, but the 47-year-old conceded performances must improve quickly. Chelsea have won only 3 of their last 12 games in all competitions, but Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola urged Chelsea owner to show some patience as Potter implements his desired system at Stamford Bridge.
Like I said, this opponent is probably the worst opponent you can play when things aren't going very well, because they can make you look like you're not running or you're not trying, because the positional structure is brilliant. They use the full width of the pitch. They keep the ball. They make it difficult for you to put any pressure on them. So in the end, it's easy to do that. But I'm working with the players. I don't get any sense of any people with a poor attitude. Everyone wants to try and do better. I think there's support in the dressing room. It's just we're going through a bad moment, and sometimes when you have these moments, you need somebody to blame. You need something to blame, and I understand where that question comes from. But at the same time, we have to stick together and keep working.
Talking tennis, players at the Australian Open will not need to take COVID-19 tests and could play if they have the virus. This was confirmed by tournament director Greg Thiele. Last year, players had to test daily and isolate if positive, and also had to be vaccinated, while in 2021, the event took place in a biosecure bubble. 9-time champion Novak Djokovic, who is unvaccinated, was deported last January, just before the tournament because of his COVID-19 status. The Australian Open starts on Monday, 16th January, and runs until Sunday, 29th January. Before we end the news, here is a recap of our top stories. The Independent National Electoral Commission has released the final list of presidential and National Assembly candidates of all the political parties contesting the February 25th elections. The Nigerian Railway Corporation has dismissed reports of the suspension of train services on the Itakpa-Warri axis following an attack by gunmen on the Ekan train station in Uwabem local government area of Edo State. On the foreign scene, security forces have regained control of Congress in Brazil's capital after it was stormed by supporters of former far-right leader Jair Bolsonaro. You can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. That ends Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. I am Evelyn Ohiola. Many thanks for your time.